Hey. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm sipping on my spirulina latte here. I feel compelled to come on here and have a conversation to mostly my ladies today. Um, I love you guys. I pray that the day had started amazing. It did start amazing because guess what? You opened your eyes, you took a breath, right? And you are currently living and dwelling in the gift of the present. So your day did start well, even if people got on your nerves. If you look at it on the other side of it, you didn't have to wake up this morning. So there is something to be grateful for. But I wanted to take a moment and talk to my sisters for a moment because there's something that is happening between us and our guys and the men of our world. We have a tendency of saying something that is a pet peeve of mine, but it doesn't lend to the support of what we want out of our counterparts. And this is it. We tend to use the term, be a man. Why don't you be a man? I need you to be a man. Why don't you act like a man? I just wish you would just be a man. When the fact of the matter is, ladies, what do we know about being a man? What? Our special parts does not give us validity to tell a man to be a man. So much so that no matter how great of a mother we are to our boys, really and truly, only a man can validate another young man being a man. I don't know if you all knew that, but this is something that I've confirmed over and over again with men, friends. I have 4 brothers, and it's just the truth. And I have my own son, and it's just the truth. And what I want to say the reason why I say it's not okay to say that is because we emasculate men by making those statements. And we think that by saying that to them, it's going to either make them step up or elevate them in some way, shape, form, when it actually goes against what it is you're trying to accomplish. Telling a man to be a man is no different than a man telling us, won't you be a woman? How can he speak to that? He doesn't have our hormones. He doesn't know what it feels like to be a woman, the hormonal changes we have to go through, the constant mental gymnastics that goes on for us to be multitaskers, CEO of our home, CEO of our thoughts, our children, their diets, and et cetera, et cetera. So us telling a man to be a man is not productive to what you're saying you want. Instead, why don't we try this? Instead of saying be a man, why don't we talk to the issue at hand? Instead of saying be a man, say, hey babe, when this and this takes place, it makes me feel uncovered. I need you to help me to feel covered by you. And feeling covered by you looks like XYZ. It means I'm financially secure. It means that I don't have to be insecure about you being around other women. It means that I can have a safe place to express myself. Speak to the issue. Let's not assassinate the character. You know what I mean? Hey, when you talk loud that way, it makes me feel unsafe. I need you to not do that. Hey, the fact that I'm the one working and you haven't made any effort to work in the past year makes me feel insecure about where we stand and whether or not I could depend on you. And it makes me feel like you're not being productive. Whatever the situation is, you get my point, right? So let's talk to the issue and let's not assassinate the person. let's face it, we live in a society that really and truly, a lot of men aren't being raised by other men. So the fact that you would want them to step up and be a man, you would first have to understand who were their examples as men. And were those examples the kind of examples that you need in a mate? I get it. You fall in love. You're you're inundated and suffocating and all that, honeymoon stage. And then once the honeymoon stage settles and real life comes into play, you realize the hand that you were dealt with looks different than the image you have in your mind. But you can't be that way. Love is hard work. Relationships are hard work, and we have to get to a place where we're in it to help support each other grow. You have a lot of women who weren't brought up with fathers either. And sometimes even though you're brought up with a father, he may not have been a good covering or a good example. And so speak to what it is you need instead of verbally bashing each other. It's counterproductive. And let me say this. Relationships and marriages specifically are not perfect, but God's formula for it certainly is, because we know that God gives us a definition and a formula for love. He really does. We just have to be willing to kind of set aside some of our selfishness and use the formula to work to our benefit. Now, let me make a disclaimer. I'm speaking of people who are of sound mind, people whose faculties are in place, who can function in some level of normalcy. I'm not talking about people who's being verbally abused every day, people who are being physically abused or womanized. I'm not speaking about those groups, because those are a lot more complicated. There's a lot of complications around mental health and emotional health and things of that nature. But I'm talking about people who are in relationships and you're constantly fighting about silly things every day. I shouldn't say silly, because it's important to whomever is feeling whatever they're feeling. But you're constantly finding yourself in a crossroad where you're arguing all the time, you're fussing all the time, you can't seem eye to eye, and it's truly exhausting. And the little things you used to overlook are now big, huge magnifying things. But here's the definition of love. A lot of people I know may not necessarily read the Bible, but this is what the Bible says love is. It says that love is patient and that love is kind. It does not envy. So all that competitive stuff we do with each other in relationships, it shouldn't be going on, because it does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. And it's not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It doesn't keep records of wrongs. It doesn't keep records of wrong. When you forgive, they say, I forgive, but I won't forget. Okay, that's fine. Put it in your mental Rolodex, but you don't keep throwing it back in each other's face. You do your best to try to work through it for as long as you need, but with intention to move forward, not hold anyone hostage. So it does not keep record of wrong. It does not delight in evil. Don't be vindictive and evil and ugly. It's one thing to be angry and to say something mean, but it's another thing to be cruel and vindictive. That's a sick character. That's a very sick character. It rejoices with the truth. It always protects. When you love each other, you want to protect each other. Look out for one another. You don't want to pick up the phone and talk trash about your husband and talk trash about your wife, and then, in their face, you're like, hey, sweetie. No, you want to protect them. I'm not saying to hide the deeper troublesome things in your marriage, but if you are going to share with anybody, let it be somebody who can have a neutral perspective about your situation, who can tell you when you're wrong, who can hold you accountable when you're out of pocket. You don't want to divulge your emotions to people who's just going to pour gasoline into the fire. You want someone to say, hey, I get it. You know, you might want to pray on that. You might want to just adjust in this way or in that way, or give them time, or express your heart, or whatever it is. But your people should be a village around you that is going to help promote the growth and the patience it takes so that marriages can work. So it always protects. It always trusts. It always hopes. You got to be hopeful about the future in regards to your marriage. And it always preserves, right? If it was that easy for everyone to jump in and have a relationship, everyone would have one. I mean, you can have one, but a quality one, it comes with perseverance. It perseveres. Love never fails. So imagine if everyone was to use that kind of formula intentionally every day. You wake up and you're in your relationship with the person that you say you love, that you trust, that you are sharing your space in life with. If we were to work that formula, where would we be? No relationships would fall apart. None. We all would be in healthy, good relationships. And so I just urge you today to take a moment and just decide to stop focusing on what you want, but focus on what this relationship needs. And there's always compromise. It doesn't matter what your situation is. Compromisation together, choosing together how to compromise, is what's going to get you over the hump sometimes. Selfishness is never going to get you there. Never. It's never going to get you to be able to climb that mountain and get to the other side. It's just going to keep you stuck. It's going to keep you stuck. So remember, stop telling him to be a man. You're not a man. You don't know what that means. You may have an idea of what you want in a man. Speak about that. Speak about what you want in a man, but don't tell a man to be a man. Don't worry, brothers. I'm coming for you later, at a later time, about you telling a woman to be a woman, or your expectations of what you think a woman is. You know, you got to know what it is that you want for yourself and be able to express your needs wholeheartedly and decide what your non-negotiables are. It's unloving. It's unloving to impose your expectations onto someone without discussing it with them. So speak to the issue at hand. What is it that you need out of this man? Speak about that. Not tell him not to be a man. Not tell him to be a man. Tell him not to be lazy. Speak to the laziness. Tell him to be more aggressive in such XYZ area. Speak to the issue at hand. Not dismantle the man's character. Because sometimes 10 seconds of something that's being said out of your mouth can be the work of can be work for the next 5 years on how to get your marriage back together. Yeah. So you got to be mindful of what you say. So that's it. I just wanted to share that a little bit. I love you ladies. You know I do. I'm a woman myself, and some of the things I'm telling you is from experience, and I've learned. And so why not share it, right? So I'm not acting like I'm holier than thou or that I have the key to all answers. It's just I know that is one area that I know we can tighten up on. Because I'm in support of relationships and marriages to work. I am in total support of it. Because I know the enemy wants to dismantle and to destroy marriages. And so in order for that not to happen, we have to do our part. Marriage is not a man-made thing. It was made by God. So we have to get into a place where we understand what was God's intention for marriage. What was his intention? We toss the word love around, but what is love? Oh, everyone has their own definition of love, but let's talk about what God said love was supposed to be. And love is patient. Love is kind. It is not envy. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. And it's not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. It does not delight in evil. It rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts. It always hopes. It always perseveres. And love never fails. If you can get those things, love never fails. And another thing I want to remind us too, the greatest two commandments that Jesus said in the Bible is to love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your might, and to love your neighbor as yourself. If you're finding it difficult to love your neighbor, i.e. husband, wife, check yourself and see what's going on internally. What don't you love about yourself that they are triggering that's causing you to not be able to walk in love? Because the more you understand God's love for you, his grace for you, his patience for you, how he doesn't keep record of wrong on you, how kind he is to you. When you understand what that love is like for you, it's almost impossible. Like it's hard to truly be evil and wrong and intentionally mean to someone else, because you understand they deserve the grace and the love and the kindness and the patience that God gives to you. If there was a way that we can go into the archives of your mind and put them on blast for everyone to see, yeah, not so perfect, huh? Well, with that said, I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. And I hope that helps somebody. So know that marriage and relationships are not perfect, but God's formula in love for relationships is. If we all can keep meditating on those principles of love, love will never fail. We would have healthy love. We'd have love that stretches us, love that matures us, love that extends itself to us in a mighty way. And when we're obedient like that, the Holy Spirit comes in and helps you. He becomes your counselor. Believe it. He really will. But you got to be willing to pray. Leave your burdens with the Lord concerning your spouse. And you got to be careful that your words don't dismantle what you're trying to build. All right? So I hope you guys have a good one, and we'll talk very soon. Oh, and by the way, if you want to know where to find the definition of love in the Bible, it's 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4, all the way through 8. All right? So read it. Meditate on it. Don't take my word for it. Look it up and see what it says. All right? We'll talk soon, and thanks for listening.